Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, a cold Friday evening. It is ridiculous 13 degrees Canadian, which would be, I think, about 55 in American. It is cold. What happened to summer? I think we had it last week one day, and now we're into fall. I mean, this is absolutely insane. So, welcome to everybody. If you are new to the broadcast, big hug to you all. We at DearMamaSal are a group of people who get together on a regular basis. Hi, Jody. We get together on a regular basis 3 times a week, and we do 3 completely different broadcasts. We do one on Friday lunchtime, which is where we learn something. Today, we were learning how to make crepes and really nice omelets. And then the Friday evening one, hi, Lauren. On the Friday evening, we do our Funnies and factoid broadcasts. So we have some things that hopefully will make you smile, and also some things, hi, Isabel, some things to also get you thinking a bit. Some facts. And then on Sunday, we do our Soul Sunday broadcast. So welcome to everybody on board, and hopefully we can do this. I don't know why the broadcast at lunchtime just was, I had everything all set up, ready to go. Do any of you relate to this? Everything was all set up, ready to go. And then at the last minute, something went horribly wrong that meant that all the work I had done up until that point to get set up, all my equipment needed to change. And it was just so stressful. But we got through it. That's the main thing. Now, just to let you know that the funnies today come from my sister, some of them. I was quite surprised. She happened to just send me a whole stack of them. And I thought, wow, let me share those with the people. So, which I hope. And I'd like to start with one that she sent me. Hang on a second, if I can find it. Oh, gosh. If I can't find it, then I can do it. Wait a sec, here we go. All right, so some of you will relate to this one. Okay. I need you to listen carefully because it's fairly long and complicated, but it makes a lot of sense, all right? And it says, an old lady, like myself, handed her bank card to a bank teller and said, I'd like to withdraw $500, please. And the female attendant, teller, said to her, for withdrawals for less than $5,000, please use the ATM. And the little old lady said, why? And the teller irritably told her, those are the rules. Please leave. If there's no other matter, there is a lineup behind you. So she returned the card to the old lady, and the old lady remained silent for a little while. And then she returned the card back to the teller and said, please help me withdraw all my money out of the bank. And the astonished teller checked the bank balance to find out how much she had in the bank, and her eyes started to roll a bit. And then she said, my apologies, Granny. You have 3.5 million in your account, and our bank doesn't have that much cash at the moment. Could you make an appointment and maybe come back tomorrow? And the little old lady said, well, how much am I allowed to withdraw? And the teller said, any amount up to 300,000. And so the teller so the little old lady looked at the teller and said, I'd like to withdraw 300,000, please. So the teller said, okay. And she did all the transaction and handed the little old lady the 300,000. And, some of you probably understand that what the little old lady did was she put 500 of it into her purse and then handed back the 299,500. and asked if it could be redeposited into her account. How many of you really like that? And the moral of the story is, don't be difficult with old people. We can outwit the young and the dumb. And I absolutely loved it. Now I've got to find out what the others are. Oh, wrong place. Just bear with me. I thought you guys would enjoy that. Now, I know it's going to sound strange, but some of the quotes that I have today have to do with coronavirus. It's going to be around for a long time, so we might as well start laughing at it, I think. So here we go. The first one isn't about it. Well, in a way it is. It says, it's been a blessing to be at home with the wife these last few months. We've caught up on everything that I've done wrong in the past 20 years. I don't know why that amused me so much, but I could see that happening. And then, I know. By the way, it's Happy Canada Day, a couple of days ago, and happy 4th of July to a lot of you, and happy birthday to Bernice tomorrow. And also, let us remember that it also is Erin's dad's birthday tomorrow in heaven. And so I just want to make sure that we acknowledge all of those. The next one is, I'm stuck between a rock and somebody I would like to hit with it. Any of you had that sort of a week? Yeah, I've had days like that. Now this one, give this a little bit of thought, people, because there is great wisdom in this next quote. Are you all ready? Think about this. So let me get this straight. There is no cure for a virus that can be killed by hand sanitizer and soap. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, true. Right? If using hand sanitizer and hand soap get rid of it, how come it's so difficult to get rid of? Oh, Sharon's saying, my sister-in-law was complaining about her husband being at home. I told her, what if he retired? She said she'd go out and get a job. Yeah, I think there'll be quite a few marriages that have been put to the test of late. All right, so how about this? I see a big baby boom coming our way in 9 months. They will be called the C19 babies. And the number one baby names will be Sherman and Scott. Yeah, remember those days when we couldn't get toilet paper? And this one has come up in many different ways, but I thought you would still like it. It says that I'm done with the 90-day trial of 2020. How do I cancel my membership? It's just like, I don't think we're going to forget this year. Oh, Jamie, you've had your first week with your business open again. How's it been? And now Governor Newsom has just put some new restrictions in. Okay, so Jamie's saying, I'm back at work. We are reopening slowly and taking very careful precautions. We're delighted to hear that. Now, for those of you a little bit concerned about, how will I ever meet people if I'm going to be quarantined like this? Remember that Rapunzel was quarantined and met her future husband. Let's think positively. It's cute. And how about this one? How long is this social distancing thing supposed to last? My husband keeps trying to get back into the house. um, and some of you might already be in this space at the moment where it says, is it too early to put up the Christmas tree yet? I have run out of things to do. Well, I certainly haven't run out of things to do. How about you guys? You know, I'm only at the tip of my iceberg of things to do. I could stay in lockdown for the next year and still not have run out of things to do. What about the rest of you? How are you doing? And this is sort of fair comment, I think. It says, when does season 2 of 2020 start? I don't like season 1. Yeah, Jodie's saying she's still on a list a mile long and she's working through it. Yeah, somebody said, aren't you bored? Actually, I was talking to Marnie yesterday and she was saying to me, you know, it's hitting hardest at the people who needed external, hi there, Sandy, who needed external stimulation, you know, the extrovert sort of type personality, of which you probably think I am one. But the funny thing is that I've always been a very sort of extrovert person if you put me on show, but I'm actually a very quiet and quite introverted if you meet me in my own environment. If you get me out of the door or put a microphone in my hand, a whole different me is there. But you know, I'm really, as I think some of you know, I'm quite a homebody. I'm quite happy, and look at that, my worktop is nice and clean. And and some of you got the view from the other side of the kitchen today, which I thought was, you know, interesting, because I suddenly had to go, wait a minute, let me take a picture. I wish you could have seen me. I'm going, I better take a picture first, you know, from the angle that the camera's in, so I can see what I need to clean up in the dining room. Can you imagine that? You know, because I know what you can see from inside the cupboard. The question is, what can you see when I'm at the other side of the kitchen looking the other way? And I know that some of you probably enjoyed seeing this part from a different angle, because I don't think you've ever seen the whole workshop area from the angle over there. And so it was just like, okay, we did well. Yeah, I think we had this one before, but let's do it again because it's still fun. Day 7 of social distancing. Struck up a conversation with a spider today. He seems nice. He's a web designer. Jamie's saying, and we sent an email to our clients. If they're still not comfortable coming out and getting a massage, it is okay. Yeah. The question is, you know, are you offering to go and give it to them if they would feel more comfortable that way? And how about this one? Things are getting weird. It's like being 16 again. Gas is dirt cheap and I'm grounded. Jody is saying, my creativity has flourished during this time. I've always been grateful for that positive aspect during all the negative things. Yes, I think those of us who have hobbies, you know, are not going to get bored at all. Hi, Beth. Good to see you, honey. And Jamie said, and if they come into contact with someone with COVID, you know, to cancel the appointment. Yes, absolutely. I think that's, you know, we're all going to just have to be really careful. And Beth, of course, as far as I know, is the only one of our viewers who's actually had it. Although she had it before they knew what it was. She had it back in January. And I think that's amazing, Beth, and I'm just so happy that you survived it. Yeah, and Jamie's saying that if anybody would feel comfortable with that, she'd be happy to go to their house and give them, what they need. January the 7th, she got it. Way before we really knew what was going on, right? We didn't really start to get serious about knowing what it was until February, I think. Would that be fair? Now, some of you will like this one. When this virus thing is over with, I still want some of you to stay away from me. How many of you are going, this has been a wonderful respite away from some of my family or friends or whatever? I can relate to that. And how about this one? If these last few weeks have taught us anything, it's that stupidity travels faster than any virus on the planet. Oh, you guys know that I watch body language, right? And I really caught my neighbor that I'm hoping you'll get to meet before too much longer. But it's so funny. Every now and then this person's name in the community comes up, and I've noticed that each time the name comes up, my neighbor hesitates a split second before she has anything to say. Now, she's the sort of neighbor that comes out with an opinion on most things. So I actually said to her, you don't know me very well, but you're getting to know me better than most. And I said, I do need to tell you that I believe there is some history between you and this person. And she goes, what makes you think that? And I said, because every time her name is mentioned, you take a split second to think before you answer. That tells me you've got some history there. Am I wrong? And she looked at me and went, nope. But she said, I'm amazed that you worked that out. And I said, well, you have to know. I study body language and voice tone, and therefore I thought I had to just check it out. Let's see what Jamie said. Jamie said, yep, yesterday I had an 11:30 appointment and the client called to cancel because her husband went to a retirement party and came in contact with someone with COVID. Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of those people that you're not too happy, you're not too miserable about some of them not being able to visit. Sandy's saying I can relate to some of the neighborhood kids that usually come a knocking. Yeah. Beth said, I think I know who I got it from. A cashier co-worker who was sick for a month. The following week after she came back, I was sick and then my husband got sick, but luckily nobody else at work. Yeah. So, and you didn't know what it was, honey, did you? I mean, you would never have gone back into work if you'd known what it was. I know you well enough. Now this one, Jody, this one's for you. Now, for the rest of you who don't know Jody, Jody is our admin, and Jody, has a hard time with quite a few people in the world. And so, Jody, this one is especially for you. Just wait a second. So you're telling me that my chance of surviving this is directly linked to the common sense of other people? What hope have we got, Jody? I thought it had your name written all over it. Talk about losing control. Yeah, I knew you'd like it. Beth said, went to the doctor and they said it was a weird virus going around. I just stayed home for about 8 days. My husband was sick for 4 weeks because he had the underlying conditions. Yeah. So, this is the whole thing. We didn't know at that time, but we sure do now. And you do realize that, we have lived, luckily, and still are living through history, right? This will be a major part of history. And we lived it. Aren't we lucky? And hopefully we survived it. And we'll keep hoping that we do that. Yeah. Listen to the logic of this one. People are scared of getting fined for congregating in crowds. As if catching a deadly disease and dying a horrible death weren't bad enough. That's the whole thing, isn't it? These people going, you are stomping all over my civil rights, and you're going, we're trying to save your life, buddy. What is it about that you don't quite get? Yeah, Beth is saying, I survived COVID-19. Yeah, I need a t-shirt. Yes, and this is the whole thing, all right, that I think that, yeah. Jody's saying, yeah, isn't that true, Jody? Jody's saying, and she's quoting the doctor, there's a weird virus going around, had to be the understatement of the millennium. But what we know is that it was prevalent back in January. Doctors were seeing it back in January. Okay, let's see this one. If you believe that this will end and we will get back to normal once we reopen everything, raise your hand and now slap yourself with it. I think my viewers know we're never going back to normal, right? That's been and gone. And our ability to adapt will make us able to enjoy the future. If you keep waiting for it to go back to how it was, yeah, right. So let's get on with just living every day as it is and be grateful. Hey, we can get toilet paper again. Yeah, we're going to have a new normal. Absolutely. And something? I, for one, want to thank Jody for all the help she gave us in stocking up our pantries and getting things ready in there. Jody, I'm amazed. I keep going there and I'm going, Beth would be so proud of me. I'm shopping from my own pantry. Beth, I talk to you a lot, you know that. But I literally, I think, what shall I have? And I go, why don't I go to the store and find out? And I go to my pantry and I open it up and I'm going, yeah, that would be nice. Because I've got things in there I don't normally eat. I've got things like spaghetti and tomato sauce, in cans. I haven't had that since I was a kid. Or Chef Boyardee, you know what I mean? I've got all sorts of little things. Tinned cocktail shrimp, flaked ham, all sorts of little tins of stuff for changing things up. And I'm going, this is such fun. All right, so Beth is saying, my symptoms was a horrible headache and a dry throat, and then came the horrible body aches. It hurt just to move my arms. Then came the chest pain and lost all taste and smell. Taste has never been the same, right? So you never got your taste back, really? And Jody is saying, you led the charge on the pantry readiness. Well, no, it was a team effort, Jode. And I'm so grateful. You have no idea. Now, Jamie's saying, our spa, we're looking for wipes. We're running out of Lysol wipes. Why don't you make your own? And I say this because it's one of the frustrations I have. Literally, make them, paper towel is, you can wash paper towel if you want to, but you can so easily make Lysol wipes out of paper towels if you wanted to. And, I would also say you can make them out of face cloth, where you can use them and throw them and then high heat wash them and wasting far less than paper towel, than wipes. Okay, now this one, forgive me, it's a little bit off the mark, but I'm certain some of you will get it. It said, having some states in lockdown and some states not in lockdown is a bit like having a peeing section in the swimming pool. It's just like, um, and why is it that everybody in the world has to have social distancing and wear masks, except if you're having to go to visit somebody's rally? Then apparently it's okay not to wear them. It's amazing to me. Now, some of you will like this one. It says, another Saturday night in the house. And I've just realized that even the trash goes out more often than I do. Oh, I'm going to have to thank my sister for these. That's interesting. Beth saying that our store keeps a couple of emergency cases of Lysol wipes for older people who request it. Yeah, good for you, Beth. I'm very pleased to hear that. But also, Beth, help them know how to make their own. It's a good idea to help them make their own. Yeah, you're right. Jamie's saying Governor Como warned everybody else that this was going to happen for everybody. Yep. There are a couple of governors that really were ahead of this game, I think. They really did well. Yeah. Sandy's saying that I feel the same way about masks. Some cities are making it mandatory and some are not. That's why we have to be personally responsible and stay as safe as we can. Lauren saying, I don't know where in the world it was, but I read on Facebook that people are having coronavirus parties to see who can get the virus the quickest. Yes, and also because they believe if they do that, they'll have the antibodies and they won't have to worry. And quite honestly, I think I heard about that in England. I could be wrong on that. Somebody probably heard about it, but what they're doing is they're working on the premise that if I get it, I won't need to worry anymore. But the point is this: if they get it, they're going to take it back to their families. Oh, it was in Alabama. Okay. Thank you. Why did I think it was in England? But I think you're right. You normally are, Jody. That's why I think you're right. I'm not going to fight with you. But can you understand that these are not thinking people? It was the same way. I don't know if any of you heard that Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend was arrested, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be offering her one heck of a good deal and witness protection. Because I'm pretty sure if she ends up in jail, she's going to have the same fate that Jeffrey Epstein had. And so this is called, okay, give us the dirt on these people that we know were part of this, and we will protect you for the rest of your life. That's what I think will happen. So we'll see whether my judgment on that one is correct. Now, this one makes perfect sense to me and probably for some of my viewers as well. Whoever decided that a liquor store is more essential than a hair salon is obviously a bald-headed alcoholic. Yeah, it didn't worry me that I couldn't get to a hair salon because I've been, cutting my own hair for years. But it was just like, yeah, a lot of people had a problem with that one. How about this one? Remember when you were little and all your underwear had days of the week on them? This would be so helpful now, wouldn't they? Okay, now I'm crying with this next one. Some of these are so true. Oh, I matched my kitchen today. Yes, you're right. The red and black. You're quite right. And white. It's my Canadian kitchen. I'm wearing my Canadian colors. Thank you, Sandy. You would appreciate that. Who knew? Yeah, I know. All right, now here you go. Take a deep breath. Let's get serious now. You ready? The spread of COVID-19 is based on two factors. One, how dense the population is. And two, how dense the population is. I'm sorry to laugh about it, but the time has come. We've got to start laughing, surely. All right, so Sharon, bless her heart, she did the research, the University of Alabama, and Tuscaloosa, I don't know how you pronounce that, Alabama is where the party was. Thanks, Sharon, for the update. I'm so excited to take the garbage out. Wonder what I should wear. Okay, this one hits home a little for me. So it says people start coughing and they wonder whether they've got coronavirus. I cough and just pray I don't pee. Some of you will relate to that, I'm sure. Okay. Remember all those times when you wished that the weekend would last forever. Well, wish granted. Are you happy now? It may take a village to raise a child, but I swear it's going to take a whole vineyard to homeschool one. I don't know about you guys, but I do half an hour interacting with the girls, and I go, how Judy does that 24/7 is beyond my comprehension. Okay. I like this one. I did a big load of pajamas, so I would have enough clean work clothes for the week. Ah, Lordy. Normally it's my allergies, but this week, no. I'm definitely going to get my sister to send us more. She got some nice ones in here, don't you think? Beth's saying, I'm going to miss Peanut on this 4th of July. He would always want to sit on my lap because he was scared of all the fireworks outside. Yes, for those of you who don't know, Peanut was Beth's little adorable little puppy dog. And how long ago did Peanut pass? Not a year yet, I don't think. Yeah, so those are, I've always said, Beth, whether it's people or pets. It's the first year is the most difficult as you get those firsts coming through. The first, 4th of July when Peanut's not sitting on your lap, or the first birthday or whatever it is. And I know Erin will be suffering tomorrow with it being her daddy's birthday. Wow. Well, thank you very much. Sharon give me bonus points for pronouncing Tuscaloosa correctly. I hope I did it right the second time as well. It's so funny. It took me the longest time. When I first came to North America, it really did take me the longest time to work out why Arkansas was pronounced Arkansas. I did sort of know that. I did learn it sometime, but every time I saw it, I kept going, that's the one that you can't say it like it looks, right? And it's like Umhlanga. If you go to South Africa, there is a town on the northeast coast, and just up from the town of Durban, and it starts with an HW, and it goes on for about this length. It's got about 25 different letters in it, and it's called Umhlanga. And it's like, if ever I had anybody visiting and I ended up taking them around that beautiful part of the shoreline, I'd go, you get a bonus point if you can pronounce the name of that town. And they go, no. It doesn't start with a H at all. I know it looks like it starts with a H, but it isn't. It's called Umhlanga, and it's called Umhlanga Rocks. Is anyone getting a tan from the light in their fridge? All right, now then, Jody, another one with your name on it. So just take a deep breath, Jody. Silly you. You thought dogs were hard to train, and just look at all the humans who just can't sit and stay. And how about, I think I may have just been grounded for everything I didn't get caught at when I was a teenager. You see, there was part of me that thought, I wonder whether I should read funnies about the virus, whether I'll offend anybody, but I'm hoping that you enjoyed them. And I've got some other funnies for you, but yeah, it gives you a whole new area to think about, Jody, when you are feeling better. All right, so excuse me a second. Now let me find out what I've got here. I laughed so much I've gone hoarse. And that's not what I want. Hold on 1 second, people. I've got to find where my, oops. Okay, just bear with me because I've got some notes here somewhere. I've got to find out where I put them. I'm going to find them because I don't quit until I do. All right, maybe I put the link into there. That's probably what I did because I can be very efficient sometimes. So bear with me. I'm going to need to see what I did with the notes here. All right, so anybody got any updates that you have while I'm just getting to the place where I need to get to? And I will certainly pass on your thanks to my sister, because I know you would want me to do that. We're nearly there. Come on, people. Could you just take me where you need to go, please? All right, we're going to do it the hard way. Hard way was the better way. And any minute now. All right, so Jody's saying she's beginning to feel a little better. I appreciate the support so much. Well, you know something, Jody, you've made us laugh every Friday for the longest time, so this was my pleasure. All right, so here are a few facts I thought you might want to know. Okay, number one, did you know? Did you know that banging your head against a wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories? Mind you, if you went out for a walk for 45 minutes, you'd burn the same amount and you wouldn't have a headache. Now, did you know that in Switzerland, it is illegal to only own one guinea pig? Does anybody know why? It's actually illegal to only have one. Yes, Jody. Jody's saying lonely, question mark. Yes, it's because guinea pigs are social animals and they are considered victims of abuse if they are alone. And how many of you are going, we should have that as a law as well? Did you know that snakes are a great predictor of earthquakes? They can sense an earthquake from 75 miles away and up to 5 days before it happens. So if you happen to be, noticing that snakes seem to be moving, suddenly you can see a lot of snakes moving, you probably know that in the next couple of days there's going to be an earthquake, which means, secure all your bookcases and everything else and get the china off the high shelves and things like that. Now, this one probably some of you know. If you have a collection of crows, those black birds, crows, do you know what the collective name for a group of crows is called? And I'm pretty sure that at least one of my viewers will know what the answer is to that. So I'll wait a little while for somebody to get bonus points. But if it carries on being really quiet out there, yes, well done. Valdo, good to see you, Valdo. A murder of crows. and there's a comment here that says, some might say that a group of 2 crows is attempted murder. All right, so I like that. I don't know why. Did you know that the 29th of May is officially Put Your Pillow on the Fridge Day? Does anybody know why? What was or is Put Your Pillow on the Fridge Day all about? And it goes back to the early 1900s, apparently, where families would place a piece of cloth into their larders or pantries, all right? It's celebrated in Europe and the USA to bring back luck and wealth to the household. Does anybody celebrate it? Does anybody keep up that tradition? Now, this next one, I hate to say this, but did not surprise me. Did you know that 7% of all American adults believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows? I read that and I went, why am I not surprised? These would be the same people that want to go party and catch the virus, right? Yeah. Now, they didn't say what age. I've got a feeling it might even be 7% of all adults. Did you know that if you lift a kangaroo's tail, it can't hop? It actually needs its tail to be, to springboard its way. I thought that was interesting. All right, now then, my very clever viewers, of which I have many, why are bananas curved? Anybody know? Why is a banana not straight? Why is it curved? And the reason is it starts off growing fairly straight, but after it gets to a certain size, it starts to follow the sun, and that's why it curves. Isn't that interesting? The fruit grows against gravity. I thought that was an interesting factoid. Now then, did you know that the inventor of the Frisbee was cremated and asked that his ashes be made into a Frisbee after he died? His name was Walter Frederick Morrison, and he invented the Frisbee in 1948, which was originally called the Pluto platter. The Pluto platter. It sounds like a disease, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm afraid you got Pluto platter. Frisbee is much easier to say. In 2010, at the age of 90, he died, and his family cremated him and turned his ashes into a Frisbee. I thought that's cute. Now then, factoid. During your lifetime, you produce enough saliva to fill a basin in your bathroom, or a bathtub, or a swimming pool, or 5 swimming pools. What do you think? What do you think? Or any other variation? How much saliva do you think you produce in the course of a lifetime? Anybody want to have a guess? And anybody want to guess how much saliva we produce in a day or in a year? It is quite surprising. Okay. So Jodie's having a guess at 5 swimming pools. It's actually 2, Jodie, but thank you for having a guess. We produced 1 to 2 liters. 2 liters would be half a gallon, I think. I don't speak American very well anymore. Anyway, we produce 2 liters of saliva every day. So that is 730 liters in a year. That's quite a lot, isn't it? I didn't realize it was that much. Now then, this is for my intelligent viewers. Polar bears could eat as many as 86 penguins in a single sitting. Why don't they? Polar bears could eat as many as 86 penguins at a time. And the question is, if that is true, why don't they do it? Anybody know? Come on, guys. No idea. Okay. They live at opposite ends of the earth. Some of you going, I knew that. You know, polar bears live in the Arctic, whereas penguins are in the Antarctic. And that's why a polar bear doesn't eat 86 penguins at one sitting. I can't wait to catch my, oh yeah, actually I won't catch my, that's the sort of question my doctor asks me all the time. You know, a plane crashes between France and Spain. Where do they bury the survivors? You know, you know, he's always asking me these trick questions, and I just look at him and I go, "It's me you're talking to. We don't bury survivors." And he goes, "Yes, I knew you'd get it." Did you know that Henry VIII, amongst the many other things that he did, they were a bit weird, he slept with a gigantic axe next to him? And do you know that he also had 6,500 handguns? I didn't know that. Now, here's a fact I didn't know as well. Do you know that movie trailers were originally shown at the end of a movie, which is why they were called trailers? They trailed the main feature. By the way, they didn't work very well because people didn't hang around to watch them. But they kept their name. It's an interesting fact, I thought. All right, so question. Can an eagle kill a young deer and fly away with it? What do you think? Yes or no? Can an eagle? Yeah, Jody guesses. Did you know, Jody, or are you guessing? Jody is saying yes, and she's correct. Yes, and Jamie as well. Yeah. An eagle, don't underestimate the power within an eagle. Not only from it's the power of its wings, because you got to think about it. Not only is it the power to swoop down and kill the deer, but then the power needed to lift it. That's a dead weight now. And so you know the power of those wings, right? That can do that. I haven't got how much weight they can actually lift. So that probably is something we'd have to have a little bit of somebody who's very quick at research. Maybe you could just check for us, how much weight can an eagle lift? I'd be interested to know that. Do you know that heart attacks are more likely to happen on a certain day of the week? And do you know which day? I thought that interesting because, it's like I knew this, but I didn't know which day it was. But then but I also knew the second part to this. It isn't a fun fact, but it's interesting. Heart attacks are increased by 20% on Mondays. And the most common time for them to occur is between 4 and 10 a.m. That's before I wake up. So, so if I'm going to die of a heart attack, the chances are I'll die in my sleep. Now, this one, I thought, any of you tennis fans out there, it's this sort of time of the year for, 12 pounds, Valdo's telling us. Okay, now Valdo's saying that an eagle can lift 12 pounds. Sandy is saying 2 pounds for males and 3 pounds for females. Wow, why would... we'll have to do some more research into that. That's quite a big variation. So we'll do a bit more during the week and come back with. I'll send my chief researcher out to check on that one and find out why those figures. Now, did you know that you actually that tennis players are not allowed to swear when they're at Wimbledon? You know, after John McEnroe. So it's you're not allowed to swear at Wimbledon, but because Wimbledon attracts people from around the world, as you know, the international event like that, all the line judges have to learn swear words in all the different countries so they can recognize them. Had you thought about that? Okay, here we go. Jody is saying, our chief researcher, greatest weight carrying capacity record is in the name of a bald eagle, right? By lifting a 6.8 kilogram, that's 15-pound mule deer. There you go. That sounds like it. That's in flight. Wonderful, Jody. Thank you. Yeah, don't worry, Sandy. That's how we learn things, right? So 15 pounds is the answer, or 6.8 kgs in our language. Now, how many of you are surprised to hear that about the line judges at Wimbledon? You imagine that you've got to find out whether all those people are swearing in their home language. And the only way you can do that is to know what those swear words are. You know, it's so funny. I've people, find out that I was born in Holland and they say, "Oh, do you still speak Dutch?" And I go, "Yeah, a couple of swear words." And it's funny, of all the words, I grew up speaking Dutch. And I go, the only words I really remember, there are a couple that I remember, but, a couple of swear words are on that list. Now, in 2017, I thought you'd like to know that more people were killed whilst taking selfies than were killed by shark attacks. How many of you going, "I'm not surprised to hear that"? There were only 5 deaths due to shark attacks in 2017, which was a lower than average year, to be truthful. But the average amount of deaths for a shark is normally 6. Worldwide, there were 35 deaths caused by selfies in 2017. Oh, interesting. Nia's just saying, I never actually saw anybody get angry on a tennis court. Yeah, you weren't alive for John McEnroe, were you? Or you weren't old enough. He used to get very angry and throw his racket and go up to the umpire and go, "Are you sleeping? Are you blind?" How many of you remember John McEnroe? And he's turned out to be quite a nice man. So Niesha, they changed the rules after. Up until then, people were pretty polite, and then came John McEnroe, and then after that, the rules changed and became formal. All right, so let me see how well you guess on this one. Some of you may know the answer. How far do you think a lion's roar can be heard? How many miles away can you hear a lion roar? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, she probably was before your time. So do you think it's... Jody's giving a guess of 5 miles. Anybody else want to guess? Just before I answer it? Well, I don't know. Is it a guess, Jody? Or is it that you believe it to be true? Baldo's answer is not far enough. It is actually 5 miles, Jody. Good guess. And I want to tell you that one of my greatest stories, some of you have heard it already, but in case you haven't, you need to. I went on a safari once and I went to sleep at night, somewhat inebriated. They bought a lot of wine on the safari, and I went to bed and I was apparently snoring quite happily. And I woke up in the morning and I, half asleep, crawled out of my tent and, to find coffee and a cigarette. It was, life didn't start without coffee and a cigarette. So I literally crawled out of the tent. And what I couldn't understand why everybody was looking at me and laughing. And there were questions like, did you sleep well, Sal? And I'm going, yeah. Why? And they said, well, the rest of us were all up in these trees with guns. I go, why? And they said, well, after you went to bed last night, a pride of lions came into the camp and for some reason lay around my tent. So they were up in the trees with the guns in case I decided I needed the washroom or something. And I said, yeah, is it April Fool's Day? And they said, no, look at the ground. And I went, what? And they said, look at the ground around your tent. And I said, why? And they said, see the spore. and I went, I was awake by then. I had a cigarette while I'm going, you're right. A whole pride of lions around my tent all night. Everybody was up in the trees. Maybe I snore in lion. That could have been it. Nobody woke me up because they were scared for my life, Nyasha. If they woke me up and I left the tent, then I could frighten the lions and that could kill me. They were praying I would not wake up. Which, of course, I didn't because I was drunk as a skunk when I went to bed. How many of you going, only Sal? Did you know there is only one country in the world that's named after a woman? Does anybody know which country? I didn't know this one. So the answer is St. Lucia, and it was discovered by the French after they were shipwrecked on the island. They arrived on December the 13th, which is the feast day of St. Lucy, hence the reason they named her St. Lucia. Now, I've actually been there, so I've been to the one place in the world that was named after a female. I think we should start changing that. All right, now how about this one? Does anybody know what a baby spider is called? And the answer is not scary. No, a baby spider is not called a scary. No. Or get out of here before I kill you. No, what is a baby spider called? Let's see if anybody knows this. Hi, Lauren. Good to see you. Yes, Valdo, very quick off the mark there. It's called a spiderling. Now you know. Now, second question, Valdo. See how quickly you can research it. How many spiderlings are born at a time? Like how many do you think get born at one time? Do you think, 100 at a time, 200, 500, hundreds, 250, says Jody. Actually, in groups of thousands. Did you know that? I didn't know that, did you? Thousands. That must mean the mortality rate must be pretty high. Yeah, Isabel's saying, I'm not sure I even want to know. Isabel, I love that. It's such a great answer. Why would I want to know the answer to that? Just one scares me, right? Now, do you know do you know what the United States Navy has started to use to work their periscopes? You know, the periscope's the bit that goes up on a submarine. Yeah, and they hunt for Red October people. So the eye bit that goes up on a submarine. Do you know what they now use to control those? And I thought this was really interesting. Jody's going. Isabel's going to be thinking of thousands of baby spiders when she goes to sleep tonight. Yeah, don't wake me up, Isabel. Okay, so here's the story. Apparently, the control stick for a periscope is very complicated, and it was difficult to train people on how to use them. And so what they did is they found out most of the sailors today know how to use an Xbox game controller. And so what they did is they rigged the periscopes to be able to be manipulated with an Xbox controller type situation. How many of you going smart? One of the things that I am a great believer in, I've heard so many people say, oh, I hate it that the children today are wasting their time playing video games. And I'm going, yeah, if you don't know how much mental capacity they are growing by playing those video games, then I'm sad. Well, it's okay. Niesha's saying, I feel like I'm in school. I didn't know that spiderlings are the young ones of spiders. I didn't either. So this is something, that's why we do the funnies and factoids, because we all learn. So I'm just a great believer that, I literally had one of my assistants who came to me having learned, sort of gone back to school after being a mother. And one of the things that I said to her was, the most important thing for you to learn is how to manipulate a mouse. And, a mouse is difficult to learn if you've never used one. So here's the thing, anytime that I'm out on the road, because I've traveled a lot as a speaker, feel free to play Tetris. And in fact, what I will do is, I'll link you into the game that I play, because in those days it was one of the few games. And I said, and your job while I'm away is to practice it enough that you can beat me. And, she thought I was insane, but you understand that what I wanted her to learn was how to use a mouse. And if you could play Tetris with a mouse, then, you were getting pretty agile with a mouse. And unfortunately, she got very good at it. In fact, she got so good at it that she started to knock me off the first 10 spots, and I got quite upset. And the funny thing was that once it looked like that she might beat me on all the first top 10 places, I then, you're not going to be surprised about this one, people. I went into my computer and I wrote a special program that if she accessed the Tetris program, it flashed up, have you finished your work? And she said the first time it did it, she just about died. It was just like, What happened? Well, you know, I had to get my own back. And then it happened that every time I came back from being on a trip, you know, for work, I'd have to come back and work nonstop to try and get my record back again. Very sad. All right, so why is the sentence, do geese see God, unusual? Do geese see God? It's an unusual phrase inasmuch as it's a palindrome. Now, a palindrome is something that is the same whichever way you read it, whether you read it left from right or right to left. So for those of you going, really? Try writing it down. Do geese see God? And you will find that it says the same thing whichever way you read it. Anybody writing it down just to check it out? I must admit, I saw it written. It was, and I'm going, really? And I'm going, oh yeah, it is a palindrome. I didn't know that. Did you know that a baby octopus, what size do you think it is? A baby octopus, right? Do you think a baby octopus, when it's born, is the size of a mouse, the size of a cat, size of a flea, size of a deer? So what size do you think a baby octopus is when it gets born? Jody's guessing a mouse. And Valdo says a flea. Sandy says a mouse. And Lauren says an ant, which was not amongst the choices, but a nice call, even so. Yeah, it is the size of a flea when it's born. Isn't that amazing? It seems very small. Do you happen to know who the first passengers inside a hot air balloon were? And I'm going to give you a clue, they were not human. The first hot air balloon went up with 3 passengers on board. And they were a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. And the first hot air balloon went up in 1783, before my time. And the flight lasted for 8 minutes before it landed safely, and all its passengers were safe as well. Yeah, it does sound like the start of a joke. You know, I quite agree, Jody. You know, a sheep, a duck, and a rooster went up in a hot air balloon and... Okay, so here we go. In Uganda, what percentage of the population is under 15 years of age? Have a guess on that one. In Uganda, what percentage of its population is under 15 years of age? Anybody want to have a guess on that one? Wow. Valdo says 60%. Lauren says 75. It's actually 48%. And they were saying that if you look at under 30, it's a whopping 77%. So your 75%, Lauren, isn't that far off if you're going for under 30, but under 15, it is 48. Isn't that amazing? Right, Nyasha's saying, oh my, just write down do geese see God, and yes, it's the same backwards also. That's an amazing arrangement of sentences. Oh, there are lots of them. It's called a palindrome. So, God. Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of them. So I find it fascinating when um, when you start working, and it's amazing how many times the word God comes into palindromes for some reason. All right, now then, here we go. And we got at least one guy in the room. So how long does it take for the average male to get bored of shopping? Very important for women to know this. And some of you are going, before they leave the house, they're bored. Yeah, Valdo's going seconds. Yeah. Well, apparently the average male gets bored within 26 minutes. How long does it take for a woman to get bored of shopping? And if you said never, that's not the right answer. How long do you think it takes a woman to get bored of shopping? Jody says 4 hours. Anybody else? Apparently 2. The average is 2 hours. I thought that was interesting. Now then, we've done a lot about recycling and reusing. Do you know that recycling one glass jar saves enough energy to watch television for 3 hours? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? And, it says here, the average person has a chance to recycle 25,000 cans in their lifetime. That's the equivalent of 75,000 hours of television. Binge watching par excellence. Yeah. Right. What causes 10 to 20% of the US power outages? Any idea? 10 to 20% of all the power outages in the US are caused by, what's your guess? I love challenging your brains, people. Don't make Jody do all the work either. She's not well this week. Wow. Jody says squirrels on a power line. And she is 100% right. Well done, Jody. And she didn't even see these questions beforehand. Did you know that Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all banned in China? You probably might know that. And this probably doesn't surprise you that 95% of Things that people text they would not say in public or in person, face to face. 95% of people text things that they could never say in person. Isn't that interesting? Now, for some of you who know your history, and especially British history, did you know that the Battle of Hastings in 1066 didn't happen in Hastings? I didn't know that. The funny thing was, it happened about 7 miles away from Hastings in a town that is today known as Battle, which is quite a good name for it, really. But it didn't actually happen in Hastings at all. I thought that was interesting. Now, this is scary. So, blah. You know that there was a swarm of 20,000 bees that followed a car for 2 days. Any idea why? A swarm of 20,000 bees followed a car for 2 days. And when it reached where it was going, it took a whole squad of beekeepers to remove the bees. And the next day, they had to do it again. The queen bee was inside the car. How dedicated are the bees? They followed the queen inside the car. 20,000 of them followed the queen. And even when they were removed by the beekeepers, 20,000 came back again. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. They didn't count them on the return. I thought that was a wow moment, yeah. What percentage, now this is a little bit interesting, what percentage of the ice in the Antarctic is made up of penguin urine? What percentage of the ice in the Antarctic is made up of the urine from penguins? Now, what I should do is start at the beginning again and see how many of you can remember the right answers. Yeah, sure, that's being very faithful, that bee thing. Yeah, I quite agree. I should have found a husband like that, right? Duh. Lauren says too much. Yeah, you know something, I can always remember my daddy, my stepfather, saying the reason he didn't have ice in his drink was because penguins pee on it. All right, Jodie's saying 45%. You'll be pleased to know it's not that high. It's only 3%. But even so, interesting, I thought. By what name do we know the guy who was born Robert Allen Zimmerman? By what name do we know the man born as Robert Allen Zimmerman? Very good, Jody. Bob Dylan. Spells it with a Y, not an I. Dylan. But you know, you're right, Jody. Bob Dylan, indeed. So there's somebody who knows their music. Yeah, give her a hand. Dylan, A-N, Dylan. You're nearly there, Jody. You'll get it. Listen, you got the answer right. The times they are a-changing. You know, we should start singing that again. And did you know that a crocodile cannot poke out its tongue? Wow. Valdo is adding the factoid that he named himself after the poet Dylan Thomas. How about that? I didn't know that. The reason um, that a crocodile can't push out its tongue is because it's attached to the roof of its mouth. But the funny thing is that alligators can. Go figure that one. Now, this is a cute one. Have any of you ever seen otters lying on their backs fast asleep but holding hands with one another? Does anybody know why they do that? Why do otters hold hands when they sleep? Yes, Jodie's saying so they don't drift apart. Particularly with a mother and baby, they will do that. And sometimes they actually will wrap themselves with kelp or something around, you know, to sort of almost make a nest around themselves so they don't drift apart. Now, this one I have difficulty believing. So I'm pretty sure somebody will do some research on it. But it is said that a small child could swim through the veins of a blue whale. Okay, if you consider how large a blue whale's heart is, and it's the size of a car, small car, apparently, it's no surprise that a small child about 3 or 4 years old could swim through the massive veins of a blue whale. I'm certain somebody's going to be checking that one out. I didn't know that one for sure. Now, this one is one of those weird facts. Did you know that bin Laden was killed on the 1st of May 2011? And Hitler died on the 1st of May 1945. To be fair, bin Laden actually died on May the 2nd, but it was, you know, because of the time change. But it was interesting that they both died on such an auspicious day. Do you know why J.K. Rowling used Hermione as the name for a female character? Why did she choose the name Hermione, not Jane or Frida or Leslie or whatever? Why did she choose Hermione? And there was a reason for it. And it wasn't just that she liked the name. Lauren is saying it was a relative's name. Actually, the name Hermione came from William Shakespeare's A Winter's Tale, right? But Rowling said that when she wrote the book, she said that if the book were ever published, she didn't want somebody with the same name to get bullied a lot for being a nerd. So she wanted to come up with a female name that was unusual enough that that wouldn't happen. There are not too many Hermiones. How many of you know somebody called Hermione? And that's why she did it. Isn't that interesting? I find that really interesting. Do you all know that Hewlett-Packard, those were the two names of the people that came up with that particular computer? But what I wondered is if you knew why it wasn't called Packard Hewlett. Why was it called Hewlett Packard, not Packard Hewlett? Okay, Jody being Jody says she's going back to the blue whale thing. She didn't like the sound of that either. She says the blue whale is true as per 3 different sources and no results to the contrary on Snopes. Well done, Jody. That's a lot of research you did on that. And that really got to you. All right, so why was it called Hewlett-Packard, not Packard-Hewlett? And the answer is because the two guys couldn't decide, right? They're going, which way are we going to do it? And they actually tossed a coin. And Hewlett-Packard won out on the toss. How about that? The rest is history. Do you know how, in Pokemon, how Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan got named? And the answer is they were named after Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. I thought it was cute. This one, Jody might need to do some more Snopes on this one. A woman tried to commit suicide by jumping off the Empire State Building. She jumped from the 86th floor and didn't die. Do any of you know why? So you have to understand the Empire State Building stands about 1,500 feet high, I believe, right? So there's no way that anybody's going to survive that fall. However, when Elvita Adams tried to kill herself by jumping, a strong gust of wind happened to happen at just that moment, and it pushed her into the floor below. This wind was so strong, it literally, as she fell, it pushed her into the next floor. She was not meant to die, people. And by the way, the worst injury she got from that was that she fractured her hip. Isn't that amazing? Like, I'm going to jump off the... yeah, Jody's going, I'm going to check on that one too. Yeah. Does anybody know why pirates wore earrings? I love factoid things. Does anybody know why pirates wore earrings? Let's see what my researchers come up with. I thought it was, it's just like, you're right, they all wore earrings, right? But why? It wasn't the fashion. Okay, so the answer is it was due to superstition. Oh, that's cute. Valdo says so that parrots would have something to play with. Nice one, Valdo. I like that. Okay, apparently they actually believed it improved their eyesight. I don't know why, along with many other reasons, due to superstitions, all right? They thought it protected them from bad eyesight or even blindness, seasickness, and from drowning, all right? It was a superstitious thing. Now, this one I definitely didn't know. Did you know that the Twitter bird has a name. Do you know the name of Twitter's bird that tweets? I didn't know this. I do now. And I've got a follow-up question on this one. And that is, I'm still laughing at Baldo's answer that the earring was something for the parrots to play with. Oh, very droll. Lauren's going, is its name Twit? Oh, that has to be a prize-winning answer, Lauren. That is so clever. No, apparently its name is Larry. And it actually was named after Larry Bird, the basketball player. And they've never said what species it was meant to be. But now the interesting thing is, have you heard YouTubers talk about Al? You know, they'll say, well, the thing about Al at YouTube is da 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 da. Have any of you heard YouTubers talk about that? Yeah, Lauren, I think that's an absolutely amazing answer. Well done. You know, I'm very proud of you. It's like, yeah, twit. And I have a feeling, knowing you, Lauren, you're also saying like the people who use it, one in particular. You know, so, okay, so now, who is Al at YouTube? All right, Jody's saying, I saw a New York Times archived clip. She has a fractured pelvis from landing on a 3-foot ledge on the floor below where she jumped. She was admitted to Bellevue Hospital. Thank you, Jody, for confirming. That's the lady who jumped off the 86th floor of the Empire State Building. Thank you, Jody. And do we know what year that was that she did it? I mean, seeing as you found the clip from the New York Times. Wow, it's amazing, isn't it? I got to take my shoes off. Oh, I feel short suddenly. So, Al at YouTube. The big computer at YouTube has got this massive algorithm, all right? And the algorithm goes through everything. Oh, okay, that woman jumped on December the 3rd, 1979. Thank you, Jody. Anyway, so the YouTube computer has an algorithm that picks up if you're swearing, it picks up if you're, doing nasty things or whatever. And we all call that algorithm Al. And you'll hear me say, I can't, I can't let that show up on YouTube because Al will catch it and ding me. Al is the, is the computer that goes through with its algorithm and sorts out who needs to be banned and not banned and all sorts of things. And the funny thing is, you will be quite surprised when they were testing the algorithm, which they've been doing for some time, some years. YouTubers like myself who don't spend a lot of time using nasty words or talking hate crimes or hate speech or whatever, it's amazing how many times my videos got dinged by Al. And when it first happened, I was going, what on earth happened? I don't understand why Al is targeting my videos. And it was just sometimes because of the algorithm. Yes, that's nice. I like that algorithm. Thank you, Valdo. But what it turned out was that it could be that I had one search term that triggered Al to other decisions. And so what happened was time after time, I'd be saying to YouTube, I request a manual review of my video because they would, stop it from being monetized and all sorts of things. And so what I would say is, no, I'd like it manually reviewed, please. And I must have asked for my videos to be manually reviewed hundreds of times by now. And it's so cute because YouTube wrote to me recently and said, we want to tell you that after all your years of being caught in the algorithm and, asking us to check, you have proven to be correct in your judgment. And therefore, we will no longer have Al check your ads. You will now let us know. And, Jody will tell you that a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about a subject that I thought would be sensitive for advertisers. And I intentionally did not put it up for monetization because of that. And that is the ethical behavior, I guess, that YouTube has recognized from me. And so to me, it's like they trust me to be honest, and I will return that to them. So that's why we call him Al, the algorithm. I think that's very clever, Baldo. No, I'd love to tell you that my integrity is 100%, Jody. I don't think it is. I don't think I'm a perfect person at all. But thank you for the kind comment, but I don't believe that. Do you know that it snowed in the Sahara Desert for 30 minutes on the 18th of February, 1979? And so far, it is the only time that is known in history where that happened, where it snowed in the Sahara. And needless to say, it melted really quickly. Can you imagine the nomads going, what the? Never seen snow in a lifetime. The camels are going, what is that? It's just like, and I didn't know this, and I'm not sure I like it either. Did you know that Mike Tyson once offered a zookeeper $10,000 to let him fight a gorilla? I don't like that. I don't know why. I don't like that. Abuse of animals, maybe? Some of you might know this one. ABBA, the group ABBA, turned down $1 billion to do a reunion tour. Wow, what happened that they didn't want to do that? ABBA was offered $1 billion to reunite for 100 shows, which would have been $250 million per member. They turned it down because it wasn't for them. Now that, I think, is integrity. Wow. That must have been difficult to turn down. Scary. All right, so did you know that there has never been a verified snow leopard attack on a human? I didn't know that. Right, now then. I'm not sure this will change your life in any way, but nice to know that the first alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m. I'm glad I didn't own that one. Invented in 1787, Levi Hutchins needed a way to wake up on time for work, so he made an alarm clock. It took almost 100 years for the wind-up alarm clock to be invented that could be set at any time. Do you know, I didn't know this one, that birds don't pee? Contrary to what most mammals do, birds convert nitrogen to uric acid. They get rid of this uric acid through the same place as they get rid of all their other waste. Huh. Now, I don't quite know how they came up with this particular law, but did you know that dyeing is illegal in the Houses of Parliament in England? Sorry, you can't dye in here. It's illegal. How could they come up with that? Strange as it is a law in place because anyone who dies in the Houses of Parliament is entitled to a state funeral. It has been voted as the most ridiculous law by British citizens. You know, like, yeah, it's just like, really? Excuse me, could you go outside and die, please? We can't let you die in here. Now, just before we close, here are a couple of other ones that I thought were really quite cute. Did you know that the 20th of March is officially Snowman Burning Day? You know, in other words, if you still got a snowman that's standing on the 20th of March, you know, you can actually burn it. All right. How about this one? Do any of you know that Queen Elizabeth visited the set for the Game of Thrones and could not sit on the Iron Throne? Do any of you know why the Queen of England could not sit on that Iron Throne? And the answer is there is an obscure rule somewhere. The ruling monarch cannot sit on a foreign throne, even if it is fictional. And that's why she couldn't sit on it. Jodie's still on about the clock. Now then, this is another one that sounds like the beginning of a joke. An apple, a potato, and an onion all taste the same if you eat them with your nose plugged. That is interesting. I don't want to test out that one. Our sense of taste is 80% made up from our sense of smell. If you were blindfolded and you had your nose plugged, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between those three foods. And how about this one? In his lifetime, how many paintings did Vincent van Gogh, however you choose to pronounce it, how many paintings did he actually sell in his lifetime? This is for all my budding artists. They're going, well, I've never sold a painting. How many do you think Vincent van Gogh sold? And the answer is, no. Valdez saying 3, Jody says none. He actually sold 1. A few months before he died, he sold the Red Vineyard. And he sold it in Brussels for 400 francs. I wonder what it's worth today. The Red Vineyard. Huh. I would imagine just the fact that it was the first one of his paintings ever sold must put an even greater value on it. You know, it's a historical painting just from that fact alone. So is anybody having a quick check on that one? Poor Jody, making her work so hard. I find that really interesting. I thought he sold some. I didn't know it was only one. I knew it wasn't very many. I would have said under 10, but I didn't know it was only one. It makes me feel so much better. I've sold some of mine. There's hope for me yet. You know, it's funny because I can remember when I became a YouTuber, one of the first things I did was to write into my will that in the event of my passing, that my YouTube earnings, however small, would be part of my estate and they would be passed on to somebody. And I can remember that my lawyer just looked at me and rolled his eyes and said, "Really?" And I went, "Yeah." Because as you can imagine, I have no idea what, you know, the revenue potential might be for my videos 20 years from now. And, you know, because what some of the stuff that I've done are really evergreen videos, so they would be as relevant 20 years from now as they are today. And so, you know, it's just like I made sure that I covered that possibility when I rewrote my will. And it was really funny because I can remember the lawyer saying, "Your YouTube earnings?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "It might not be very much, but, you know, somebody will be grateful for it. So I would like to make sure that it's written into my will that they are bequeathed." Of course, you know, I would think of that. And now, as we leave, let's see how well you do. Okay, Jody said it was sold for 400 francs to Anne Bosch in 1890. Do we know what its current value is? Why don't I look that up? And whilst I'm doing that, have a guess, people. How far do you think the average person walks in their lifetime? Let me have a quick look, see if I can find this. Okay, so they're saying the 400 francs would be the equivalent of about $2,000 today. And the painting would sell for many millions of dollars today. The vase with 15 flowers that he did sold for $82 million in 1987. Can you believe that? That's to be one of his relatives, right? All right, so apparently the average person lives until they're 80. I haven't got much left then. And they'll walk about 110,000 miles in their lifetime, or the equivalent of going around the world 5 times. I think, yeah. Interesting. Now then, Michael Jackson, I didn't know this one. Michael Jackson offered to turn the Harry Potter story into a musical. Did you know that? Would have made, actually, I think it would have made a great musical. that J.K. Rowling rejected it. Yeah, Jody's saying the only answer that they can find on the Red Vineyard is today it'd be worth many millions. Yeah. And he sold it for 100,000, 2,000. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed some of the fun and factoids of this evening. Which are your favorite ones? And if you're watching it on the replay and you happen to still be watching, perhaps you'd leave some notes in the comments below so we can know what you enjoyed most. So which facts do you think were the ones you enjoyed most? And it's just like, it's amazing how many of these little bits of trivia. I don't know about you guys, but I find them fascinating. Now, will I remember them tomorrow? That's another thing. If somebody says to me tomorrow, what size is the baby octopus? I think I'd remember that it's the size of an ant or a flea. Actually, a flea, right? All right, Jody liked the one we started with about the lady in the bank trying to pull out $500. And of course, the one about the squirrel on the power line. Yes, interesting. Thanks, Jody. Yeah, I thought I definitely like the octopus one. And actually, there were a number in there that I really liked. Isabel saying it's about the baby spiders. I can now be prepared, not scared. Go to bed with your bottle of Raid, Isabel. Just in case. And it's like, I didn't know that. It's a fact I didn't know. What about those 20,000 bees? You imagine being the driver of that car and you've got 20,000 bees buzzing outside. How did they get out of the car is what I want to know. And then to find that the bees continued to come back to the car after they've been removed. You must be going, I could take this personally, right? And then I wonder how long it took somebody to realize there must be a queen in the car and then to find the queen. So I thought that was an incredible one myself. Now, as I leave you, one last one, because I think this one is magical. Nutella, always reminds me of Manon, she loves Nutella, was invented during World War II. And do you know it was invented when hazelnuts were mixed into chocolate to extend the chocolate rations for the troops? I did not know that. And look at what we have today. They created a whole new thing. Yeah, Nyasha, of course, loved the palindrome. All right, that was her favorite thing to learn about. Yeah. So, as long as you learned something, you didn't waste your time. And I think that's always the thing about life, right? Which is, did you learn something today? And I'd like to think that we all did. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for being here. Jody, get well soon. And we look forward to having you back on board. And thank you so much for being smart enough to take the week off from doing the research on it. I had great fun finding some fun facts for everybody. And to all of you, please remember to keep laughing. The whole pandemic thing is probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And we need to remember to stay prepared and to stay informed, and most of all, to keep our sense of humor and to be oh so grateful for the fact that we are alive. Remember what Beth said. She got it before anybody knew what it was and lived. And so Hi, Jonah. Good to see you, Joanna. So, what I'm saying to you is, keep your sense of humor, be aware and prepared, and most of all, let's continue to support one another. And each week, let's be grateful that we made it through to another week. And that is my hope. I send you all a big hug and enjoy the 4th of July for those of you who celebrate that. And I will see you all on Sunday. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being part of my life, and bye-bye for now.